Let me put my headphone in. My bad. What is good, everybody? We are here on another Sunday here with another Investors Playbook Live coming at you, man. As always, you have your co-hosts Deshaun and Cornell, and we're giving financial tips, financial literacy, financial education, all in the hopes that we get you off the sidelines. All right. And this week we got to talk about it. You could probably guess what the topic is going to be, probably because you read the title, but we're talking about the government shutdown. The government has now been shut down for what I think is 4 days, roughly. Um, I think it happened on October 1st.
Hmm.
That was the deadline, September 30th at midnight. I mean, October 1st at midnight, but September 30th at 11:59. So yeah, government's been shut down for 4 days, and we have been watching the market. We have been watching these stocks, and honestly, people, it it hasn't been rocked like I thought it was gonna get hit. A lot of times when you see things like government shutdown, pausing on government spending, at least what I would think, right? The buy the rumor, sell the news, that age old tale. When the news came out, I kind of thought that the market would either be stagnant or kind of go down a little bit. But if you look back at 2018, the market did what it's kind of doing now. It's not moving in the negative direction, but instead is going up. Businesses are increasing their stock price. So outside of the stock market, the government shutdown is definitely affecting a lot of people. But yeah, we want to talk about how the government shutdown potentially can hit your pockets and what that looks like um, inside and outside the stock market. So, Cornell, I'm gonna pass the mic over to you. Um, what are your thoughts on the current situation that's happening in the White House, the government shutdown going on? What are your thoughts, man?
Man, but just the way this is being framed is insane. Like I don't know if you follow the White House Instagram page, but this guy said countdown until the Democrats shut down the government, and even on the official White House website, it says the Democrats have
Yeah,
shut down the government.
yeah.
Like it's really crazy. And I was listening to a podcast. I'm drifting off a little bit. I was listening to a podcast how it says like three people own about like 90% of media. Like
Hmm.
between Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah,
It's really Mark Zuckerberg and Elon. And if one of them get a hold of TikTok, it's over.
yeah,
It's over. And they were talking about how they can frame a lot of the things that the ways that things are being portrayed to the public.
yeah,
And that alone holds a lot of power. And people don't realize how their views are swayed by what they see on a day to day basis. Because even like with algorithms, man, like you can see something on the same app. You could be on the same app as somebody else and they'll be seeing totally different shit. You feel me? So you kind of think that everybody thinks like you because that's all you're seeing. You're only seeing content that agrees with what you're seeing.
yeah. The
So it's kind of
algorithm.
hard. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see other points of view because you think other people are crazy because you think that they're not the norm.
Right.
Yeah, so man, I can go down a rabbit hole with that. But
No,
yeah,
but
man, this
I feel you on that one, man. And it's like, even outside of things that are important, it'll be like random videos that I'll talk to my wife about, and she's like, "Deshaun, I would never see that on my timeline. I don't even know how you see it." It's like that's that's what's fed to me. You get what I'm saying? Like that's the
yep.
feed. They call it the feed. That is what's fed to you. Whatever you scroll and stop, double click on, and it's the same thing with politics. If you're following and double clicking on things that are going to promote the the Republicans' agenda, you'll see more of that. And if you're going to see things that promote the Democratic agenda, then you'll see that. But at the same time, like you said, at the very tip top, there are people who can kind of control what is going to get fed out overall, right? And if the White House is if Facebook and Twitter are on the side of the White House, you're probably going to see more of the Democrats are shutting the government down, dot, dot, dot. And that'll be the narrative. And it's the same thing with the news outlets, right? The difference between CNN and Fox. They talk two completely different stories about the same thing, you know? Like
Hmm.
literally two different sides, same coin. Um, but yeah, it's interesting to see how the news is talking about this specific topic and how people are reacting to it, right? It's just a lot of what I would just say uncertainty. That's what's happening right now. Lots of uncertainty in the government. And who knows? The last time that this happened, it was when Trump was in office. It was 2018 going into 2019, and the government was shut down for 35 days. Okay, through the year. I mean, through the end of the year. So, and look, we got a good amount of people in the chat. Definitely want to say thank you all for joining. If you are watching this, man, respond. Let us know what your thoughts are on the government shutdown. Right? Let us know kind of if it has affected you at all. But definitely want to hit that share button, hit that like button, and follow us because we talk about this stuff on a weekly basis. Thank you all for joining. We definitely appreciate you being here. We're gonna get back to the topic. But yeah, the government shutdown is here. It's been here for about 4 days. We don't know when it's going to end, because they can't come to an agreement on healthcare spending. That's like the big pause right now. I think they're pretty good with everything else. It's just this healthcare spending bill that they're like, well, we want this, and then the Democrats are saying the opposite. We want that. So, yeah, and until that happens, what is on pause is a lot of government. What do they say? Government spending is being paused. So we're talking contractors, federal programming is being put paused. Um, and yeah, and the federal contractors, they spread out, right? Like we're not just talking about people who work for the government, people like as far as the DOD, right, in the White House. We're talking as far as like TSA workers. Even those people are getting affected. Those are government contracted workers. And I guess, Cornell, I wanted to ask, I think we had talked about it before, but teachers aren't really affected by this, right?
I'm not saying that we're not affected. I know that the last time it was for an entire month. I personally did not get affected by anything. I don't know if there's a certain amount of time that a government
Mm,
has to be shut down for us to be affected. So yeah, I wouldn't say we're not affected because we are government workers. I just don't know
gotcha.
how long it
Yeah.
would take for us to be affected.
It was also during the Christmas break, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. It was from December to January. But I don't
But it
know.
was an
Like you
entire
said.
month. It was an entire
Yes.
month,
That's true.
and the
That's
Christmas
true.
break is only 2 weeks.
For sure.
So yeah, I'm not sure, man. Because I
Yeah.
see conflicting information when I'm on the internet. Uh, it talks about how sometimes like military be paid, but then I look at another article say military doesn't get paid. It's like it seems like a lot of people are not sure on exactly what happens during a government shutdown.
Yeah.
Um, but this article that I found it talks about federal workers going unpaid, and when they say unpaid, they don't mean actually they're not going to get paid for their work. It's going to be delayed
Yeah.
until their pay is retro. They're retro paid once the government is no longer shut down. So you got to be careful with terminology because no one's just going to sit here and continue to work, and they're never going to get paid, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But even being delayed, that's still an issue, especially because people are already check to check. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not demeaning the inconvenience of this or the severity of this. I just want to be clear that they are getting paid. They just have to wait to actually be paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and this includes like IRS workers, TSA, national parks, and federal courts. For some reason, politicians still continue to get paid, which is crazy to me, especially especially because this is in their hands, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there would be more of a concern, or there would be more intentionality if their pay was on the line also. Because it's like, okay, you're affecting all these people, but are you really feeling this?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
if you were, it would have never been to where we had to wait 30 days. Y'all
Hmm.
would never let this happen if your salary was in jeopardy. So that's the way I'm thinking. I think that part is crazy.
Yeah. It's wild, and that just goes to the rhetoric that like the powers, they make the decisions, but they feel the impact the least. Like even whatever decision the government decides to make, right? With whether it's to approve the bill or not approve the bill, they're going to get paid regardless. And they're not the ones that are even on, Medicaid, Medicare. It's more like we're making this decision for the greater people. But at the end of the day, it's not affecting us. It's affecting maybe our mental, our psychological, but it's not affecting our pockets. You know what I mean? And that's what, not directly, like them getting a paycheck, it's not affecting that. But the decision that they're making is literally going to affect people's livelihoods, That but that's politics, right? That's government. There's no I mean there's a way around it, but in this country that's kind of how things run. So, yeah. One thing that I will say is that since the shutdown, the stock market overall has been pretty chill, right? It has not increased a whole lot, it hasn't decreased a whole lot. And from what I'm reading, it's simply because the stock market investors has seen this before. I mean, there's been like over 20 shutdowns since like the 1980s or something. So this isn't a new play. And also, what I'm reading is that people are assuming that this is temporary, which has been the case, right? The longest government shutdown was 6 years ago. But before that, the government shut down for a couple days, less than a week most times, and things get back to normal. So, though the government is in a panic, I think this is a good time to really practice that don't panic muscle, right? If you're in the stock market and you see headlines saying the government is shutting down, it sounds extremely serious because it is. But take a look at the stock market, look at your investments. Do not panic in this case as far as investments goes. With your personal financial decisions, can't give you advice on that. That is simply up to you. Everyone's situation is going to be different. We don't know how the government shutdown is currently affecting anyone, and we don't know what the decision, whatever decision outcome comes to be, is going to affect you. So you have to make your decisions according to your financial situation. Always remember that. What we're talking about is the stock market, okay, and how the stock market is potentially affected by this government shutdown. I think if this extends like it did in 19 in 2018, 2019, then we might start to see some impacts happen, of course. But for now, the government shutdown is playing like how it's played in the past, and it's hardly reacting, right? If you're looking at the stock market and didn't look at the news, you wouldn't think the government shutdown was happening. You wouldn't even, it would just be a normal day.
I'm
So,
not gonna lie, man. I'm kind of scared about it, to be honest. For us to be hitting higher highs and to see what's going on,
hmm,
like Bitcoin hit an all-time high, the S&P 500 all-time high, man. I'm not gonna lie, I got out of my options.
yeah,
I did because I did have some call options. I had one for Microsoft. I had one for Bitcoin, a Bitcoin ETF.
hmm,
Uh, I feel like because even though we did end up at new all-time highs the last time, I think at some point the market went down like 10% or something, somewhere in range of that.
hmm,
So I just don't know, man. I think
yeah.
that this is setting up for a pullback. It just doesn't make sense in my head.
Yeah, so you're thinking was you got out because the government shut down, or you got out because the market is constantly hitting all-time highs, or both?
Combination of both.
Got you. Yeah. I do think that the market is moving ridiculously high repeatedly, um, because everyone keeps saying it can't keep going, it can't keep going, but then it does. Once you start to hear people say that, like instead of saying the market is going to continue rallying and you're hearing the opposite, yeah, it might be it's starting to make people feel uncomfortable just regularly. Like the market is moving too high. It feels good to see your money go up, but you have to take a step back and think like, all right, historically the market does not make this move without some type of correction or pullback. So where is that going to happen? When is that going to happen? And of course, that's more or less timing the market when it comes to playing things like options that have some specific expiration date. Um, but it's also just something that we both do because we look at the stock market every day. It's kind of hard to not think like, when is it gonna pull back? You know, it just happens because it's something that we see every single day. Um, but yeah, that's kind of why I'm on the fence of, if you are unsure and if you don't want to look at the stock market every single day, do dollar cost averaging. Put a bit of money into the stock market every day. It just depends on how involved you want to be in your investments, right? That's it.
And I just had this conversation with somebody. I feel like if you're not going to look at it every day, you shouldn't even be investing in single stocks, to be honest. You should be
Yeah.
investing in mutual funds
Yep.
because you never know when something's going to change. Like one of
Mhm.
these big companies gets competition and they just can't hang, right?
Yep.
Uh, so to avoid there being a change in positioning in the stock market and the company that you're invested in just goes down and you don't even realize it because you're not looking at it, you
Mhm.
should get into a mutual fund because they have fund managers that will trade out stocks when some are not doing too well, or if there's stocks that are doing well now and they need to be added to the fund. So yeah, if you're not going to look at the stock market and pay attention to news, I suggest you don't even invest in single stocks.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with you on that one. I think single stocks expose you to a lot more risk. $100 in Nvidia is a lot more risky than $100 in S&P 500 or $100 in QQQ. Will you I mean, you will definitely make less money if QQQ and Nvidia both go up because of the rate of change in which Nvidia is moving compared to how QQQ is going up. But that's to say that, like you said, Cornell, QQQ is a combination of a lot of stocks. So if Nvidia does go down, right, you will lose less money because you're not just invested in Nvidia when you're invested in QQQ. You're invested in multiple stocks. Okay. So you're protecting yourself automatically by investing in a single mutual fund instead of a single stock. You're still investing in one asset, but that one asset has multiple holdings. So we talked about mutual funds before, but essentially it's a collection of stocks that automatically provides you with diversification. That is usually managed by some fund manager. Uh, that is allowed that is granted the ability to take stocks from the mutual fund, switch it out when stocks are performing less. So essentially, the mutual fund, it's kind of hard to fail, right? Because it's being managed by someone. So I agree with you, Cornell. If you're not going to look at the stock market every single day, single stocks probably shouldn't be something that you get involved in because news, a new company can literally change the price of a single stock very drastically. And we're not even talking about just the performance of the stock. It could be the CEO does something that people don't like, and then the stock drops. You know, so
Yeah, or the
yeah,
CEO passing away, like uh,
United
you know,
Healthcare,
yeah, man.
exactly.
You never
That
know
could
what'll
happen.
happen. You
Never
never
know
know
what'll
what'll
happen.
happen.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Or Trump can put some new policy in place that
It's just it's
bans the company from serving a certain product. Like it's
e-
crazy.
exactly. It's a lot that can be done on a whim. So yeah, while this government shutdown is happening, while people are, managing their funds and just figuring out what direction they should take, I think with the stock market, it is the stock market seems to still be a safe place to invest your money through a government shutdown. At least historically, that's what it's been. Now, historically, I don't know if we've been at all-time highs during a government shutdown. That might be the difference between now and what has happened in the past. Yeah, appreciate you subscribing, Taylor. Thank you. We
But yeah,
go live every week. So whenever you see that live icon come up, go ahead and tune in. Today we're talking about the government shutdown. I mean, we had to. It's been going on for about 4 or 5 days now. So how is the government shutdown affecting the stock market? And honestly, it's not affecting it much, or it hasn't just yet. Of course, depending on how long the government shutdown is, we'll see. But yeah, I would say that the government shutdown, though it is happening, still leaves the stock market a decent place to park your money. But then, of course, there's that caveat that we are at all-time highs. So uh, it hasn't affected it much yet. So I wouldn't say panic when it comes to the stock market. Cornell, what about you, man? What do you want to? What's your final takeaways, I guess, when it comes to your idea on the stock market, government shutdown? What do you think?
uh, when it comes to government shutdown, I feel like it brings uncertainty, and when uncertainty comes, I know me personally, I'm not going to buy a whole lot of stock,
Hmm.
especially because on top of that, we're at an all-time high. So
Yeah.
right now, the money that I would be putting into the market, I'm kind of just stockpiling it.
Yeah.
And then I do expect to see a dip personally. When I see that dip, that's when I'll start to put more into investments.
Nice. Yeah. That's a solid play too, man. If you are able to invest a little into the stock market while it's going through this, figuring out where the federal funding is going to go, like whenever that's signed off, and then also just dealing with the fact that it is at all-time highs. Um, Maybe a little bit of that timing the market isn't always so bad, right? If you've been doing it long enough, then you can kind of have that sense that, all right, the market's been moving very strongly in one direction. Let's take a beat, slow down on some of the investments, and then wait until that pullback happens. So, yeah, but that's like an advanced move, right? If you're just getting involved in the stock market, then mutual funds is probably the better way to go, the safer way to go, the less riskier way to go. And then, of course, that idea of dollar cost averaging, if you aren't going to be trying to time the market, right? It's all about time in the market. So, yep. All right, man. Good live today. I hope you all um, was able to take something away. Again, the goal here is to get you off the sidelines. If you haven't started your investing journey, man, hit us up. You can hit us up either on Instagram at Investors Playbook LLC. You can hit us up on our website at Investors Playbook LLC. Yeah, we will assist you on your journey to make sure that you understand the basics of getting started in the stock market, and also check out our book, The 6 Step Process to Financial Freedom. That's that's an easy go-to that you can kind of pick and choose which play fits you, so that you can go ahead and get right on that path to financial freedom. What you got, Cornell?
Yes, sir. No, I agree with everything you just said, man. Make sure y'all tune in, and hey, let's keep growing.
Yes, sir. All right, man. We're gonna catch y'all next week. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Peace out.
Peace.